Hello and welcome to another session of Mindful Data Mine. This session is in continuation with our previous session, which is related to functions in SAS. In case if you haven't watched that session, I would request you to kindly watch that first. So let's start with this session. So in our previous session, we have created two data sets, baseball underscore care and baseball underscore numeric using SAS help.baseball. In baseball underscore care, we have all the character kind of variable, whereas in baseball underscore numeric, we have all the numeric kind of variable. So I'll run this to create the data set first. Now I'll go to the numeric variables. So these are the numeric variables available in baseball underscore numeric. Now to start with, I'll first start with sum, mean, round and put an input function followed by the date functions. Okay, let's assume that we have a requirement that we need to sum an ATBAT with an home. So for the first observation, I'm expecting a result of 294. How we can do it in SAS? Let's see that. So data A set, we will use baseball numeric. Then I'll write maybe S1 equals to sum followed by NATBAT, comma and home. Okay, apart from this, let's assume we also have another requirement in which we need to sum all the columns from NATBAT to NASSTS. Okay, so for this, uh, we have two options. Either we can write variable name one after the other, or we can simply use sum of in this case. So using sum of, we can pass NATBAT double dash NASSTS. We need not to write all the column names. Now when we run this, it should sum all the data. So what I'll simply do is I'll keep NATBAT and home, and we'll keep S1 first to check if we are getting the expected data. Kindly note, when we use SAS, so SAS reads the data cell by cell, row by row. That's why whenever we use a numeric function like sum, mean, etc., it will work row wise. If you have worked in SQL, when we use sum function in SQL, it sum up the entire column, but in case of SAS, it sums up the row wise. Okay, so example here we are seeing 293 plus 1 equals to 294. Similarly, 315 plus 7 equals to 322. Okay, now I'll just select everything, and if I go to the end, we'll get the sum of all the records. Let's check and see if this is correct or not. So what I'll do is I'll quickly copy this and paste it in Excel so that we can see if the sum is matching. So the sum is 1346, and here the answer is 1346, so it's matching. Now let's assume that we have a requirement that we need to calculate mean this time for the same variable. Okay, so for this we can use the mean function and pass the variable name. And similarly, if we have a requirement where we need to calculate mean of all the variables like we did in case of sum, we can do it in the same way. Now let's run this and see what we get in the result. So for n home and NATBAT, if I'll check the mean, it's 147. Let's calculate here as well. So it's 147 only. And for all the columns, it's coming out to be 89.7. So if I sum up these, it should be 89.7. Now moving on further, let's assume that we have this log salary available and we want to round this up. For that, in SAS we have a round function available. I'll create different versions of round to check the possible answers we will get. So generally when we use round function, we use round. This is the function name followed by the variable name, which is log salary. Okay, and then if we want to round it up to one decimal, we will use it like this. Okay, now what I'll do is I'll paste it 5 to 6 times and change the value every time. Okay, now I'll do it 0.01, 001 and 0001. Maybe here I'll do it 1.0 and I'll do it 10. Let's see the results. Okay, so now this time I'll keep log salary and round 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So for the first one it's blank, so we are getting blank. For second one, log salary 6.163314804. So when we use zero point 0.1, it's rounding it up to one decimal character, 0.2. And when we are putting it as 0.01, we are getting it as 1.6. Similarly, 0.001 will give us 0.163, and if it is 0001, then in that case we will get 1633. Okay, now when we use 1.0, we are getting the direct place as 6. Okay, and in case if it's 5.4, we will get 5, and if it is greater than zero point 0.5, then we'll get 7. In this case we are getting 7. Okay, and when we use 10.0, we are getting the nearest multiple of 10, or the nearest roundup value. So after 5 it would be 10, and if it is 4 then it will be 0. Like below 5 or exactly 5 it will be 0, else it will be 10. Okay, now talking about put function. So put function basically converts a numeric variable into character variable, and input function does the vice versa. That means it converts a character variable to a numeric variable. So what we'll do is I'll create a variable named num2char where I'll use put function, and maybe I'll use natbat. I'll put it here and I'll pass on a format, let's say $8 dot. Now this will become my character variable. Okay, and next what I'll do is I'll create another variable char to num, in which I'll use input function, and I'll pass this numeric to char variable, which is a character type of variable, and I'll try to change it to numeric. So this is the format I'm using. $8 dot represents a character variable with 8 length, and 8 dot simply represent numeric variable. Okay, now when I'll run this and I'll keep natbat, num to char, char to num. If you see, this image is A, and if I'll click here, it says type character. So it has been successfully converted to character type. And when I used num2 character and try to convert it, if you see, the image is 1 2 3, and if I'll click here, it's numeric. So we have successfully converted back to numeric type, and the result is same. Okay, so this is the use of put and input function. Now moving on further to the date functions, then these are the most commonly used date functions in SAS. Okay, so for this, what I'll do is I'll create a new data set named as B, in which I'll pass a date which will be hard coded. Okay, let assume the date is 25 January 2020. Okay, and when we write a hard coded date, we need to pass D in the end, which tells us, okay, this is a date which we have passed. Now, to get today's date in SAS, we have two functions. One is date and the other one is today. Both of these functions will give you today's date. Okay. Now, if you want to get or extract day from the date, we can simply use day function and pass the date. So I'll use dt1. Okay. In case if we want to get month, then we can use month function. This will give us month. So the month is January here. That is the first month. After this, if we want to get the quarter of the month, so usually Jan to March, first quarter, then second quarter, then third quarter, then fourth quarter. If we want to get that, we can use qtr for that. So qtr function, and we need to pass the date again. Okay. Next is if we want to get the weekday. So let's assume Sunday is the first day and Saturday is the last day, that is seventh day. So we'll get weekday in 1 2 3 4 up to 7. So I'll write w day for that, weekday dt1. This will give us, okay, which particular day of the week it is. And if we want to extract the year out of the date, we can simply use year function for that. Apart from that, there is one function which is known as MDY. Basically, M stand for month, D stand for date, Y stand for year here. In case if you have items available like this, day in a separate column, month in a separate column, and year in a separate column, then you can create your own date using MDY function. So first you will need to pass month, then you will have to pass day, and then you will have to pass year. When you do it like this will generate a date for us. Then in case if you want to check difference between two dates, then we have a function known as int ck. This function will give you difference in days, weeks, quarter, month, year. Okay, so let's assume we want to calculate difference in months between dt1 and tdy1. We can do it like this. Okay, and let's assume that we have a requirement that we want to calculate what is the date 2 months before current date, or let's assume we have a requirement where we need to get a dynamic date, and the date is such that it should be first day of the month. So today if I run it, the date it should give me 1st August 2023. Okay, it should not give me the current date, but it should be on the 1st August. So what I can do is I can use a function known as int nx for that. Okay, so for this I'll need to use int nx for this requirement. Then I need to use maybe month because we want to go to first date of the month. That's why I'm selecting month. And then my requirement says need to check it from today, so I'll be using tdy one date. And we need to go back a fourth in 0th month, that is we are doing everything in this month. If we need to go back to previous month, we use -1. If we want to go in the next month, we'll use +1. Currently it's 0 and we need the beginning date, so it will be B. If we need the end of month, it will be E. If we need mid of month, it will be M. So we'll use this. Okay, now what I'll do is I'll try to run all these function in one go and let's see the results. Now if you see, we are getting dt1 as a number, tdy as a number, td2 as a number. The reason for this is, as mentioned earlier also, that dates are stored as an integer. That's why we are able to see the integer value of that particular date starting from 1st January 1960. To get the exact date, we need to use a format. Okay, I'll write the format here, format, and then we need to write the variable name. Okay, in case if we want to pass same format to all the variables, then we can write it in one go and then we can pass the format name. Okay, so we have dt1, td1, tdy2, then we are having year, we also have this mdy, and for all of this I'll set date9 as the format. That is, it will say 1st August AUG 2023, something like this. Okay, now let's run it again and see the results. See, our first date was 25th January 2020. We are getting it like this. Today is 25th August 2023. We are getting the same result using date and today. For future date, that is when we used int nx, the requirement is to go first of the month. And if you see in the result, it says first of the month. And for mdy, because we have selected month, day and year of dt1, we are getting 25th Jan 2020 again. And day, it's 25. So I'll select this. Day is 25. If I'll go to month, it's first. Quarter, it's again first. Weekday is 7. So how come it's 7? Let's check this. So 25th January is Saturday and it's assuming that day starts from Sunday. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's how we are getting 7 here. Now here this should be 2020. And if we calculate the difference between the two dates in months, this should be 43 months. Well, that's all for this session. Please let me know in case if you have any confusion or any questions related to this session. Please let me know in the comment section and I'll see you in the next session. Thank you.